The air inside the bridge tasted like burnt metal and fear. Mira pressed a trembling hand against the cracked viewport, staring into the endless black where stars hung like distant candles. Her reflection in the glass was pale, eyes ringed with exhaustion and grief. "They're not coming, are they?" she whispered. Her voice barely rose above the dying hum of the ship's reactor. Captain Arden stood behind her, his uniform torn, blood dried across one sleeve. His tone was quiet, steady, but the stillness in it carried weight. "They think we're already dead," he said. That Earth cut its losses. Outside, fragments of what used to be Outpost Luma 7 drifted silently. Twisted beams, shattered domes, frozen bodies suspended in the cold like memories that refused to fade. The Vigilant Dawn, once a proud patrol vessel, now floated crippled among the debris. Engines offline, power flickering. 6 days had passed since the Velar Dominion struck. 6 days since the enemy's ships appeared out of subspace, precise and perfect in their cruelty. They hadn't destroyed Vigilant Dawn completely. They could have, but they didn't. The Velar liked to watch their prey despair. They measured human endurance the way a scientist measures flame. How long before it burns out? From their distant cruisers, the Velar observed in silence. In the dim red light of the human ship, Mira listened to the static hissing through the comms. No signal, no rescue. Just endless silence, maybe, she began, voice breaking. Maybe they were right. Maybe humanity isn't made for this part of space. Arden turned slowly, eyes sharp. "Don't ever say that again." His words cut through the gloom, low but fierce. "They think we'll die quietly. They've studied our weapons, our science, but not our stubbornness. That's the one thing they never learned to predict." The deck trembled beneath their feet. For a moment, Mira thought it was another impact. But then she realized it was coming from the comm system, a faint pulse, then another. "Captain," she said, voice barely above a breath. "You hear that?" Arden frowned, stepping closer to the console. The static shifted, not random this time, rhythmic, precise. "Translate it," he ordered. Mira's fingers moved fast, despite the numbness in them. Her eyes widened. It's Morse code," he blinked. "Morse? That hasn't been used in decades." "I know." She stared at the console screen as the translation appeared, one letter at a time. 5 words. Just 5. "Hold on. Help is near." The breath caught in her throat. For a moment, time froze. The Velar outside, the wreckage around them, all faded beneath the impossible message. "Captain, it's an Earth frequency." Arden leaned forward, disbelief flickering across his scarred face. "That's impossible. The nearest fleet is 3 systems away. No ship could reach us in time." "Then who?" Before she could finish, another signal burst through the static. Stronger this time. Not words, but a call sign. Ancient. From a project that never existed on record. "Echo 9. Mira whispered it aloud. "Echo 9? Her voice trembled, half awe, half fear. "That can't be real. That was a prototype. It vanished before I was even born." Arden didn't answer. He was staring through the viewport into the dark. The stars shimmered faintly, and among them, for just an instant, a blue flare blinked once, then disappeared. Across the void, in the cold metallic cathedral of a Velar dreadnought, alien eyes turned toward their admiral. "Admiral," a synthetic voice reported, "we have intercepted a human signal. Designation, Echo 9. The admiral's mandibles clicked, his gaze unreadable. "Echo 9? "Yes, Commander. Historical records suggest it was a human rescue unit. Lost during the early expansion era." The admiral leaned forward, mandibles twitching with curiosity. "So the humans summon ghosts now?" He turned his eyes back toward the broken Vigilant Dawn, floating helpless in the void. "No help will arrive," he said softly. "But let them believe. Belief is the sweetest illusion before despair." He raised a hand. The Velar ships shifted formation, surrounding the remnants of the human fleet like sharks circling a wounded whale. And yet, in the deep, silent dark beyond the asteroids, something stirred. A faint energy signature flared. Old engines, long forgotten, coughed to life, and in that moment, a whisper crossed the star, soft, defiant human. "Echo 9 inbound." The Velar paused. Their scanners detected nothing. But the sound echoed through every band of their network, repeating over and over like a haunting promise. Mira pressed her hand against the console, tears glinting in the red light. "They heard us," she whispered. "Someone actually heard us." Captain Arden smiled for the first time in days. "Then we hold the line," he said quietly. "Because when humans say help is near, it means someone just broke the impossible to get here." Outside, the dark shifted again. The ghost of Echo 9 was coming. The void trembled, not with sound, but with something older, something primal. A frequency that made even the cold vacuum of space feel alive. "Echo 9 inbound," repeated the transmission. Clearer now, pulsing through every comm channel on Vigilant Dawn. Mira stared at the display. The coordinates danced, flickering across sectors like a heartbeat skipping through dimensions. "Captain, this signal isn't moving through space. It's phasing, like it's existing in several places at once." Arden's jaw tightened. "Then it's not a distress call." He paused, eyes narrowing as he leaned toward the holographic map. "It's a trail. They want us to follow." Outside, the shattered remains of Luma 7 glimmered faintly, reflecting the light of the nearest star, a red dwarf burning slow and dim. Against that quiet backdrop, a ripple formed in space, faint but unmistakable, and then the echo became real. A sleek, old Earth ship emerged from the distortion, scarred and mismatched, its hull patched with alloys no one used anymore. Its designation shimmered faintly under the frost of re-entry. Echo 9. Mira's voice trembled. "Captain, that's impossible. That ship was declared lost 80 years ago. There's no way, unless someone found it," Arden murmured, "and decided to bring it home." He stepped closer to the viewport. The ship moved like a phantom. No thrusters, no visible propulsion. It simply glided, defying inertia, shimmering with faint pulses of blue light, as if it breathed through the fabric of space itself. Suddenly, every alarm on the ship blared at once. The Velar had noticed. "Captain!" shouted the navigation officer. "Velar fleet converging. Multiple interceptors inbound." Arden's gaze hardened. "They're not attacking us anymore. They're going for it." "Why?" Mira asked. "Because," he said, watching the ghostly blue light grow stronger. "They just saw something that doesn't fit their logic." Far away, aboard the Echo 9, Commander Elias Cole's eyes opened. His breath came slow and steady. His body fused with the neural interface of the ship. Thin cables pulsed where metal met skin. "Lyra," he whispered. "Status?" The ship's AI responded in a calm, distinctly human tone. "We have arrived at Luma Sector. Signal confirmed. Human survivors detected aboard Vigilant Dawn." Cole smiled faintly. "Then it's not too late." "Correction," Lyra said. "Time is not linear in this region. We have been too late and just in time simultaneously." Cole exhaled a shaky laugh. "Still doing that paradox talk, huh?" Lyra paused. "You created me to think beyond reason, Commander. That is what humans do." The monitors flared red. "Warning, Velar interceptors approaching. 12 units. Estimated contact in 90 seconds. Cole's fingers tightened on the controls. "Then let's remind them why they stopped chasing ghosts." He reached out and the neural circuit linked, his mind fusing with the ship's consciousness. Energy rippled through the hull. Outside, the Echo 9 glowed with a pulse that warped light itself. The Velar interceptors screamed toward it. Perfect formation, mathematically flawless. But the moment they entered range, they faltered. The humans had built Echo 9 not just for travel, but for survival. A ship designed by desperation, powered by the impossible. Each time the Velar locked on, the ship's coordinates shifted by microseconds, dodging fire not by movement, but by stepping out of time. Inside their flagship, Velar Admiral Tikar observed in silence. "Impossible," he hissed. "The vessel is..." "Skipping," a technician answered nervously. "It exists at variable temporal frequencies, Admiral. Their technology is primitive," Tikar snapped. "And yet, unpredictable. A dangerous combination." He studied the readings again. The human ship emitted no weapons fire, no aggression, yet it evaded everything the Velar threw at it. It was mocking them. Tikar turned toward his communication unit. "Prepare quantum cannons. I want that thing erased." Back on Vigilant Dawn, Mira's console sparked with interference. "They're targeting Echo 9. Multiple lock-ons." Arden slammed his fist down. "Can we warn them?" "I've been trying, but..." A burst of sound filled the bridge, not static, but music. A soft piano melody drifted through the comms, haunting and pure. An ancient Earth song, something from centuries ago, before space travel, before war. Mira froze. They're broadcasting music? Arden listened quietly. It wasn't random. The song was deliberate, a message wrapped in melody, courage written in sound. The Velar Admiral's voice crackled across their shared channel, full of cold amusement. Human, your attempt to communicate through noise is futile. Cole's voice answered calmly through the hum of distortion. You study fear. We study faith. And then the melody changed, and building, rising. Every human aboard Vigilant Dawn stopped to listen. Even in their fear, something inside them shifted. The melody wasn't just sound, it meant something. It was home. Captain, Mira whispered, tears in her eyes. That song. My mother used to play it. Arden's gaze softened. Then hold on to it. Because that's what they're fighting with. Outside, Echo 9 turned sharply, blue light flaring. The music grew louder, vibrating through the vacuum. For a heartbeat, it seemed the entire galaxy could hear humanity's answer. And when the Velar fired, every beam of plasma curved away, distorted by a field no logic could explain. Inside Echo 9, Lyra spoke gently, field integrity dropping. Probability of survival 12%. Cole smiled faintly. 12's plenty. He looked out at the darkness where Vigilant Dawn waited. Let them know we're real, Lyra. Let them believe again. And as the ship vanished into the light, his voice carried through every speaker, steady and defiant. Hold on. Help isn't near anymore. Help has arrived. The universe itself seemed to hold its breath. On board Vigilant Dawn, Mira stood frozen before the viewport as the black expanse of space burst into color. A wave of blue-gold light swept through the wreckage fields like sunrise cutting through fog. The void that had swallowed their hopes now blazed with life. She whispered, barely daring to breathe. Is that them? Arden didn't answer at first. His gaze locked on the distant shimmer where Echo 9 tore through the dark, its afterburn blazing like an aurora. Yes, he said finally. And they're angry. The Velar fleet, perfect and symmetrical, reacted instantly. Hundreds of warships turned in flawless unison, encircling the human phantom. Their formation looked like a blooming flower of death, precise, cold, and unstoppable. But symmetry had a flaw: predictability. Echo 9 is moving too fast, Mira reported. Its velocity curve doesn't make sense. It's accelerating against its own inertia. Then don't try to understand it, Arden replied, gripping the railing. Just watch. In the cockpit of Echo 9, Commander Cole leaned forward, every nerve alive with adrenaline. The neural link burned behind his eyes, but he smiled through the pain. Lyra, open a broadcast, he said. All channels. Lyra's tone was calm, even as alarms screamed. Broadcast open. Velar fleet response, full engagement. Recommend retreat. Not retreating, he said. We're writing a message. The ship shuddered violently as plasma bolts streaked past, the light of explosions flickering across the cockpit like lightning through a storm. Cole's breathing steadied. Lyra, vector them. Every shot they fire, feed it back. Confirmed. The Echo 9's hull shimmered. Each plasma blast that hit its shields refracted into mirrored bursts of energy, redirected into the enemy formation like shards of light. From the Velar flagship, Admiral Takar watched the impossible unfold. Dozens of his interceptors disintegrated in seconds, hit by their own redirected fire. How? He hissed. Their defense systems are responding before our shots are fired, his technician stammered. They're predicting us, Admiral. It's reading our formation in real time. Takar's mandibles clicked. No, it's feeling it. And indeed, inside the Echo 9, Cole felt everything. Every trajectory, every vibration, every whisper of the enemy's motion. The neural field wasn't just data. It was instinct, emotion. In onboard Vigilant Dawn, Mira could barely speak. Captain, look. It's like they're dancing. Through the viewport, Echo 9 twisted between laser grids and plasma waves, leaving trails of blue fire behind it. Each maneuver was impossible, almost artistic, as if the ship were painting across the stars. Music, Arden murmured. What? Look at the rhythm, he said. Every movement matches the tempo of the song it broadcast earlier. And it was true. The music still played faintly through the comms, woven now with the sounds of battle. The ancient Earth melody, clair de lune, gentle, defiant, beautiful. It wasn't just sound anymore. It was a message to every human heart listening. We are still here. "Captain," cried the navigation officer. "We're receiving a signal from Echo 9. Arden's eyes lit up. "Patch it through." Cole's voice crackled over the comms and calm, unwavering, alive with fire. "Vigilant Dawn, this is Echo 9. When I open a corridor, you run. Don't look back. Understood?" Mira's hands shook. "But what about you?" Cole's voice softened, almost warm. "Someone has to light the way." Before she could reply, the signal cut. The stars ahead of Vigilant Dawn flared suddenly. Space itself bent, a corridor of light forming, splitting the Velar blockade like a wound. "Engines online," shouted the helmsman. Arden pointed forward. "All power, go!" The Vigilant Dawn roared to life, its battered hull screaming against the gravitational pull. As they surged toward the glowing passage, Mira turned back and saw it. Echo 9 hung between them and the Velar fleet, its silhouette blazing like a star about to go supernova. Every system on the ship overloaded, every circuit burning. Cole stood at the heart of it all, body trembling under the neural strain, voice whispering into the void. "Lyra, now." "Confirmed," said the AI softly. "Goodbye, Elias." "Not goodbye," he whispered. "Just hold on!" And then the world exploded in light. A wave of energy surged outward, slamming into the Velar fleet. For a brief, breathtaking instant, every ship in the enemy armada froze, their systems overwhelmed by a pulse of encoded human emotion. Fear, hope, defiance. The Vigilant Dawn burst through the corridor and escaped into hyperspace. Behind them, the Velar flagship's reactor began to collapse, folding in on itself in a silent storm of gold and white. The last thing Mira saw before the stars blurred was the glowing outline of Echo 9, disintegrating, yet shining brighter than ever. A man and his ship turned into light. When the Vigilant Dawn emerged from hyperspace, the crew sat in silence. The alarms had gone quiet. Only the faint hum of the engines filled the air. Mira broke the stillness, her voice trembling. "He did it." Arden nodded slowly. "He gave us a way out." The comms flickered one last time. Through the static, faint and ghost-like, came a voice. Cole's voice carried on residual frequencies. "Hold on. Help isn't near anymore. Help is human," and with that, the transmission faded into the stars. Mira lowered her head, tears glimmering as she whispered, "Then we'll make sure they never forget your name." Outside, the light of Echo 9's sacrifice still shimmered faintly, a new constellation born of courage. The hyperspace corridor closed behind Vigilant Dawn with a soundless ripple. The ship drifted into stillness and bruised, cracked, but alive. For the first time in days, there was silence. Not the empty, hopeless kind, but a silence filled with heartbeat and breath. Survivors began to emerge from the shadows of the bridge, dazed but breathing. Mira wiped soot from her face and stared at the dim holographic map. The blue flare marking Echo 9's signal was gone. "Captain," she whispered. "No trace. Nothing." Arden didn't respond immediately. His eyes stayed on the viewport where the stars shimmered faintly, peaceful, unaware of the war still echoing behind them. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough, quiet. "That wasn't just a ship, Mira." She turned toward him, puzzled. He looked older now, his face lined not by age but by memory. "It was a promise. The kind humanity makes even when the odds make no sense." A long silence followed, broken only by the soft hum of damaged systems trying to heal. Then, a sound. A faint pulse through the comms, low and steady. Morse code again. Mira rushed to the console. "Captain, you hear that?" Arden stepped closer. "Translate." Her fingers flew over the controls, eyes flickering as the translation appeared. "Keep moving. They'll come again." It was Cole's voice, or at least his code signature, transmitted through the same quantum frequency Echo 9 had used before. Mira covered her mouth, tears welling. "He's alive." Arden looked at her, then at the stars. "Or something of him is." Far beyond, in the collapsing remains of the Velar fleet, silence reigned. Where 1,000 ships once glided in perfect harmony, now floated fractured hulls and drifting monuments to arrogance. Inside the burning heart of the Velar flagship, Admiral Takar clung to a railing as systems failed around him. The great empire he'd commanded, reduced to chaos by one human ghost. "Admiral," a wounded aide gasped. "Our reactors, the temporal field destabilized," Takar snarled, voice distorted by static. "Silence. Record this moment." He turned toward the dying monitors where fragments of the human transmission still glowed faintly. The song, the message, the defiance. "Humans," he muttered. "They wield emotion like a weapon." His mandibles clicked as sparks showered around him. No logic predicts that. Then, with a slow, almost reverent gesture, he turned off the alarms. The bridge grew dark, save for the soft echo of Claire de Lune still playing through the dying speakers. Takar listened as everything he had built came undone. "You win, ghosts of Earth," he whispered. "But know this, logic never forgets." Moments later, the flagship's reactor imploded in golden silence, sending one last shockwave across the system, a flare visible from light years away. Back on Vigilant Dawn, Mira stared at the distant explosion reflected on the viewport. "That's it, isn't it? The end of the Velar fleet," Arden nodded slowly. "Maybe, but endings are deceptive. The Velar aren't just ships, they're ideas. And ideas don't die easy." The bridge lights flickered as the power grid stabilized. Crew members worked in silence, fixing what they could. Amid the exhaustion, there was something new. Resolve. One of the engineers, a young cadet with a bandaged arm, approached the captain. "Sir, what do we tell Earth?" Arden hesitated. Then he said firmly, "We tell them the truth." Mira looked up. "The truth?" "That help came," he said softly. "That humanity isn't just surviving, we're remembering who we are." Hours passed. The crew rested, patched hulls, and whispered stories of the ghost ship that came through light and song. But as the Vigilant Dawn drifted through the new sector, Mira noticed something strange. Faint energy traces, like footsteps through the fabric of space. They weren't random. They were in a pattern. She ran a scan. The readings aligned perfectly with Echo 9's signature, but weaker, fainter, like an echo of an echo. Her heart raced. "Captain, I think the ship's still transmitting something." "Coordinates?" "No," she said, shaking her head. "A phrase repeating," he frowned. "What phrase?" She turned the speakers on. Through the static came a low, rhythmic whisper. Human, but distant. "Keep moving. Keep believing." Mira looked up, tears shining. "He's not gone, Captain." "Not really." Arden smiled faintly, voice breaking into a whisper. "No, Mira. He never was." He stood tall again, shoulders squared, and looked around at his battered crew. "Plot a new course. Back to Earth. Let's show them what one ghost can do." As Vigilant Dawn accelerated into the stars, the hull caught the glow of the distant explosion, light refracting like silver fire across the metal. Mira stared at it until her reflection blurred. "Goodbye, Echo 9, she whispered, and far behind them, where the Velar fleet once ruled, the ashes of their empire shimmered, not in defeat, but in awe, because even in death humanity had left something behind, a light that refused to fade, a melody that refused to end, a legend that had just begun. The Vigilant Dawn glided through a calm patch of dark space, calm in sight, but heavy in silence. The stars outside felt closer than ever, like ancient witnesses holding their breath. Mira sat alone in the observation deck, the faint blue glow from the panels washing over her tired face. Her reflection in the glass seemed like a stranger now, one who had seen too much, felt too much, and yet somehow refused to break. Behind her, footsteps approached softly. It was Captain Arden, his presence steady as ever, though his eyes carried the same exhaustion. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked quietly. Mira shook her head. "The transmission keeps replaying in my mind. Cole's voice, those words." She looked up at him. "You think it's possible? That he's really still out there?" Arden's gaze shifted to the stars. "I've stopped defining possible when it comes to humans." They stood in silence for a long while. Outside, faint golden dust from the destroyed Velar flagship drifted like an interstellar aurora. It wasn't just debris. It looked like something was woven through it, an organized pattern flickering faintly. Mira noticed it first. "Sir, look. That formation, it's changing." Arden narrowed his eyes. Computer, magnify and analyze pattern frequency. The AI's calm voice responded. Detected energy variance consistent with quantum pulse communication. Source unknown. Message repeating. Mira's pulse quickened. Translate it. Moments later, the text scrolled across the holo display. Do not stop. Do not fall silent. Others are listening. Her breath caught. It can't be. Arden stared at the words, expression unreadable. Others? The Velar survivors? She whispered. He shook his head slowly. No, it's not a threat. The tone. It's warning us. In the dark ruins of the Velar command sector, something stirred. What remained of Admiral Takar's fleet, scattered vessels and broken drones, were slowly being collected by automated recovery systems. But among them, deeper in the debris field, a new signal began to pulse. Not Velar, not human. A ripple of energy from outside known space, a transmission almost melodic. Weaving through the static, we heard your flame. The few Velar who survived their admiral's fall received it, trembling in disbelief. One officer, half his body replaced by machine repairs, whispered to his console, "That frequency, not from this galaxy." The message continued, "Your war was noticed." The humans lit the dark. Back aboard Vigilant Dawn, the crew gathered on the bridge as Mira played back the intercepted alien transmission. The sound filled the room, a haunting, harmonic voice that felt almost alive. Arden stood motionless. "Play it again." When it repeated, Mira turned to him. "Sir, that's not Velar, it's something else. Whoever's sending this and they're watching us." "Or coming," Arden said grimly. The crew exchanged nervous looks. The engineer at the rear, Thomas, spoke up. "Captain, do you think Cole's signal might have reached them somehow? That he drew something toward us?" Arden didn't answer immediately. Then, with a deep breath, he said, "If humanity's echo crossed the void, and then yes. Someone somewhere heard us." Mira frowned uneasy. But what if what they heard wasn't hope? The ship's lights flickered suddenly, once, twice, and then stabilized. A soft vibration passed through the hull like the space around them had exhaled. The AI's voice returned. "External distortion detected. Unknown gravitational flux approaching from aft quadrant." Arden snapped back to command mode. "Shields up. Power weapons. Mira, locate the source." She scanned quickly and then froze. "Sir, it's not a ship. It's a distortion wave. Something's folding into real space." "Fold?" Thomas repeated. "Like a gate?" "Exactly," she whispered. "A quantum aperture forming, and then it's massive." Alarms flared as the blackness behind them began to bend, light warping around an invisible tear. From it, soft threads of gold and white spilled through the void like silk unraveling. Arden gripped the console. "All hands, brace!" The wave washed over them, shaking the Vigilant Dawn but not breaking it. When the sensors cleared, what appeared before them made the entire bridge fall silent. Floating in the dark was a colossal structure. Not built, but grown, its surface shimmering with energy patterns identical to Echo 9's last transmission. Mira whispered, "It's answering his signal." Arden stared wide-eyed. "A construct built from our message." The structure pulsed once and then transmitted a new signal directly into their comms. "You lit the dark. Now we answer." Everyone froze. The AI translated the rest, voice shaking ever so slightly. "Humanity is not alone, but something else is coming, and your signal woke it, too." The bridge descended into quiet horror. Arden finally exhaled, slow and deliberate. "So the universe heard us." He looked toward Mira, his voice like iron, "and it's deciding how to answer." Mira stared at the glowing structure, a chill running down her spine. "Captain, what have we started?" The golden light outside grew brighter, casting long shadows across the ship. And somewhere deep within the transmission's echoes, beneath the alien frequencies and quantum harmonics, a human voice whispered faintly, "Keep moving. Don't let the light go out." And that was when they realized. Cole's final message wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. The stars looked wrong. That was the first thing Mira noticed when the Vigilant Dawn stabilized its orbit near the golden structure. Space itself seemed to shimmer, bending like a curtain caught in invisible wind. She pressed her hand to the glass. "It's distorting the entire field around it, almost like it's alive." Arden stood behind her, face lit by the amber glow of the anomaly. alive or aware. Either way, we're talking to something that understands what we sent. The construct pulsed again, slow, rhythmic, like a heartbeat echoing through the vacuum. Then came the voice. Not through speakers, not through comms, but inside their heads. A soft, resonant tone, layered and vast. Children of Sol. Hugh remembered the dark, the crew froze. A few stumbled back, instinctively clutching their ears, though the sound wasn't really sound at all. Mira whispered, trembling. It's speaking through entanglement resonance. It's inside the ship. Arden kept his composure. Identify yourself. A long pause. Then we are the echoed. The ones who once watched your kind grow fire from stone. We left before your species could walk between stars. But your song reached us, Mira's breath caught. Cole's signal. The golden light flared gently. The one you call Cole. His message crossed the fold. It broke silence. Arden's voice hardened. If you've been watching, then you know what happened. You know the Velar nearly wiped us out. We know. The Velar saw themselves as the balance keepers. But your kind carries something unbalanced. An unpredicted variable. Emotion, Mira said quietly. Yes, the voice replied. The irrational force that drives you to defy extinction. To risk everything for meaning, Arden frowned. You came here to study us? The construct's glow dimmed as if hesitating. We came because your call awakened another, something older, something we once imprisoned beyond light. It heard your human voice and now it stirs. The bridge fell silent. The hum of the ship's system suddenly felt deafening. Thomas spoke from the engineering pit, voice shaking. You mean, we woke something? Yes, the one that devours meaning. The void mind. A cold shiver passed through every soul aboard the ship. Mira's hands trembled on the console. Captain, this is beyond us. We can't fight something that even they imprisoned. Arden didn't blink. Then we don't fight it the same way. We do what humans always do. We improvise. The construct pulsed brighter. You misunderstand. This is not your war. Arden took a step forward. His voice carried that human weight, the stubborn, impossible conviction that had shattered fleets and rewritten fate. Maybe not, but it's our consequence. The alien voice paused, not in confusion, but in something almost like respect. You are the first of your kind we have spoken to in 2 million of your years. Your defiance is consistent. Mira frowned. What do you want from us? We came to ask a question, the same question we asked when we left your world long ago. Why does humanity fight when every calculation says surrender? Arden's answer was immediate, almost instinctive. Because surrender is quiet, he said, and humans, we were born noisy. A flicker of light rippled through the construct, not mechanical, but emotional. Then perhaps the stars still remember why they burned. The golden glow began to dim, turning pale white. Captain, Mira said urgently, energy drop detected. It's shifting again. Suddenly, a blinding pulse erupted from the structure, flooding the bridge with golden white light. Everyone shielded their eyes, and then the screens filled with data. Coordinates. Massive grids of them spanning galaxies. What is this? Thomas breathed. Waypoints, the voice said softly. The ancient prison's locks. The void mind's seal weakens. If it breaks, all thought, all will be consumed. Arden clenched his jaw. You're giving us the map to stop it. You misunderstand again. We are giving you the choice, to run or to stand. And then, silence. The light collapsed inward, folding into a single golden sphere no larger than a human heart. It floated toward Mira, stopping just before her. You carried his message, the voice whispered. Now carry ours. Then with a soft flash, it merged into her chest, leaving her breathless and glowing faintly under her skin. Captain, she whispered hoarsely, it's inside me. The coordinates, the entire map. Arden stared at her, awe and worry warring in his eyes. Then you just became our beacon, Mira. Outside, the construct crumbled into motes of light that drifted apart, like a promise dissolving into starlight. Arden turned to his crew. We've got our heading. If the void mind is waking, humanity doesn't wait. We go first. Mira nodded, voice quiet but fierce. Then we move. As the vigilant dawn roared forward, slicing through the golden dust, a faint whisper followed them, Cole's voice again intertwined with the alien harmonics. Keep moving. The light remembers. And for the first time in countless millennia, something new stirred in the dark. Not fear, but hope. The stars were moving, not drifting, shifting. Entire constellations bending as gravity screamed across the void. The vigilant dawn hurtled through the final set of coordinates Mira carried within her, the last waypoint to what the Echoed had called the prison. Mira gripped the railing as turbulence rocked the ship. Her veins still glowed faintly from the golden energy that had embedded within her, but now the light pulsed faster, like it was warning her. "Captain," she gasped, "something's pulling us in." Arden steadied himself, voice sharp. "Hold her steady. Thomas, redirect auxiliary thrust. We're not turning back now." Outside, the dark tore open, and there it was, a rift as wide as a planet, ringed with collapsing stars. Energy arced across it like lightning made of thought. Colors the human brain wasn't meant to name. It wasn't just a sight. It was a presence. The void mind. It didn't move. It didn't need to. Space itself bent around it, every vibration, every flicker of meaning being drawn into its hunger. For a moment, everyone on the bridge fell silent, their minds filled with whispers not their own, memories, regrets, promises, stripped bare and reflected back in perfect apathy. Arden clenched his fists, forcing his voice through the psychic static. "It's trying to unmake us, fight it." But even he could feel the truth pressing against his bones. This wasn't a creature. It was an absence that thought. Mira staggered forward, holding her chest. The golden energy inside her flared like a heartbeat fighting extinction. "Captain, the message, it's reacting." "Reacting how?" She looked up, eyes glowing faint white. "It wants to speak." The void mind's tendrils of thought lashed closer, slow, inevitable. Every light on the ship dimmed as energy drained into the void. Arden's voice dropped to a whisper. "Then let it." Mira spread her arms as light burst from her. Not heat, but memory. Every human heartbeat, every cry, every dream encoded in the pulse that had crossed galaxies. And then, through her, humanity's message spoke again. "We remember the dark. We walked through it. We lit it ourselves." The words weren't transmitted, they were felt. The void mind shuddered. The surrounding stars flickered like they were gasping. "You cannot fight what has no end," it replied, voice echoing through space, through metal, through thought, through... Mira answered, trembling but fierce. "We don't fight to end it. We fight so something remains." The golden pulse expanded, fractal and alive, weaving through the rift like veins of light through glass. The darkness recoiled, not destroyed, but pushed back. For the first time in eternity, the void mind hesitated. Arden shouted above the roaring static, "Now! Feed all reactor output into her conduit." Thomas yelled, "That'll overload the core." Arden met Mira's eyes. "If we don't, nothing survives to remember why we tried." Mira nodded, tears streaking through the glow. "Do it." The deck shook violently as the vigilant dawn poured every watt of its dying heart into the transmission. The ship's hull screamed, metal deforming, light fracturing, but the golden wave surged outward, multiplying beyond physics. Every signal left by Echo 9, every echo of Cole's code, every trace of the human defiance that had traveled through impossible silence, all of it fused into one final burst of light. The void mind wailed, not in pain, but confusion. It couldn't consume what refused to end. And then the rift imploded, a silent explosion of color and meaning that raced outward faster than light. The stars snapped back into place. The silence returned. The vigilant dawn drifted, broken but intact, systems dead, engines quiet. For a long time, no one spoke. The only sound was the faint crackle of burned circuits and slow human breathing. Then Mira stirred, her glow dimming to nothing. "Captain?" Arden turned toward her weakly. "We're here, Mira. You did it." Her lips trembled in a tired smile. "No, we did." He glanced out the viewport and froze. Where the rift had been, there now floated something vast and beautiful. Not a wound, but a scar that shimmered like dawn. The shape resembled Earth's continents, woven in light. Mira followed his gaze. "It remembered us." "Maybe," he said softly. "We reminded the universe what remembering means." Weeks later, rescue signals from nearby colonies finally found them. The Vigilant Dawn limped home, scarred, legend-bound, its crew silent under the stars. Humanity learned what had happened, and something changed. Across Earth and its colonies, beacons began to light again. Music played across comm networks. Even the smallest settlements transmitted one phrase every dawn cycle: keep moving. The light remembers. And deep in the far reaches of space where silence once ruled, faint golden motes continued to drift, carrying the message that had started everything: a hint, a whisper, a human heartbeat. Because when the aliens had assumed no help would arrive, they hadn't understood what humanity truly was. Help didn't arrive. Humanity became it, and the stars would never forget.